Hunter Biden's legal woes, they've worsened. Today, he was indicted on 3 federal weapons charges related to a gun purchase in 2018. Prosecutors allege Biden lied on the federal forms about using drugs.
Those forms ask you about your drug use, and the allegation is that Hunter Biden lied on that form by saying that he was not using drugs when at the time he has openly admitted, including in a book that he wrote about his life, that he was in fact struggling with a crack cocaine addiction.
But what's surprising about this development is that not long ago it looked like Biden had a solid plan. He was going to avoid jail time. So how did it go from a finalized plea deal to federal indictment in 56 days flat? Here's how it unraveled. In June, Hunter Biden was well on his way to resolving his legal issues. He'd agreed to a plea deal with federal investigators that would keep him out of jail on tax and gun crimes. But the legal win was short-lived. Just 6 days later, and amid a firestorm of controversy from Biden critics, the deal was rejected by Delaware federal judge Mary Ellen Noreika as potentially unconstitutional. Here's where things really pick up steam then. In August, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced he was appointing a special counsel in this case, who announced an intention to seek an indictment against Hunter Biden on the 6th of this month. Then 8 days later, special counsel David Weiss made good on that promise, securing the indictment. 3 federal weapons charges in a Delaware federal court today. Let's unpack the legal challenges Hunter Biden is now facing with certified criminal law specialist Lou Shapiro. Lou, the first deal fell through. Is there a possibility of another deal?
For sure, there's always the possibility of another deal. There's going to be a lot of back and forth discussions between Biden's camp and the federal prosecutors in terms of how to resolve this matter. The impediment, though, is the idea of, is there other charges lurking, other counts that could be coming up down the pike? And that was what caused the breakdown of communications the last hearing. The defense walked in there under the impression that this is a one and done deal. But then the prosecution said, oh, not so fast. We can come back and add charges down the line. And that's how we got to the place that we got to today.
Now, you're usually on the opposite side of the table. You're working defense. But a prosecutor, in my mind, is like a home seller. They're always going to extract the highest maximum price they can. Are prosecutors going to really try to nail Hunter Biden, the president's son, as hard as they possibly can?
No, not in this case, because the prosecution is under the microscope. And just like they can't show favoritism to a defendant, they also can't show more punitive measures than they normally would. And to be fair, in a situation like this, we never see the federal government targeting an individual for something as a low-level offense such as this. I know in the eyes of the public, a big deal is being made of it, but that's usually on the state crime level. We'll see a prosecution for somebody, putting false information in an application for a weapon. The feds don't usually take up cases like that. They take up cases that have more grand consequences, money laundering cases, drug trafficking, where you're getting many defendants in a case and so forth.
Do you think that that's related to then his dad is a tough on guns Democrat, that it's like, okay, if he's tough on guns, we got to actually enforce this?
I think it might be a little bit of that, but I think it's more that the public is just outraged that really nothing has happened to Hunter Biden up until now. And you have Trump facing 4 pending criminal investigations. So something had to give from a political point of view. And this is we are doing something to Hunter Biden, so everyone can stop screaming that he's getting this pass. But really, and this is what Republican leaders are saying, this is really just a dog and pony show. He hasn't been convicted. These are low-level offenses. He's not going to do any time. And let's keep in mind, his father's the president. And what is the president going to do when he leaves office? Whether it's this election or the next one, he's going to pardon him. So it's really an exercise in futility on both sides.
In the past, I think he said, no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to be involved. But okay, you say maybe that's a possibility on the way out the door. So, Lou, since the other files that could have been, other charges that could have been filed, working as an undeclared foreign agent, something like that, which he's under investigation for, prosecutors revealed, since that didn't come in this tranche, is he in the clear there?
Joe, he's not in the clear there. This could just be the beginning of other charges that could be coming down the pike. A prosecutor is permitted to file what's called a superseding indictment. which would include other counts. So I don't think this is the last of the Hunter Biden chronicles. But at the same time, there's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes here, including the fact that as president, the president of the United States runs, so to speak, the Department of Justice. So if the president at the end of the day tells everybody the buck stops here, the buck will stop there, and we may never find out about it.
There has been this move toward restorative justice in our country over the last few years. It occurs to me, Lou, especially when it comes to drug addiction, as we've seen it grow, and people saying, don't treat them as criminals, treat them differently, give them a diversion program, things like that. If we do see full tilt, the president's son prosecuted, for lying about using crack cocaine, and you're saying it's out of step with other defendants, is he being treated harsher than other Americans in a similar situation?
Yes, if he doesn't get some sort of diversion or some type of drug treatment program, something associated that addresses the underlying cause of this issue, then I think it would be surprising to people. I think if he did any time on a case like this, it would be shocking to the public on both sides. So it just remains to be seen how this is all going to unravel, but I don't think it's going to go to a trial. I think it will be dealt with and resolved by way of a plea deal one way or another.
Yeah. I love getting your perspective because, again, I had on a former federal prosecutor saying they're going to nail him. I hear you saying not so fast. Lou Shapiro, thanks.
My pleasure.
Coming up, Bill Maher becomes the latest star to return to TV amid the ongoing Hollywood strikes. Why the comedian says it's time and why the writers' union's questioning the logistics there. Next.